Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's Tuesday, January 26th, 2021 at 5:28 a.m. here in beautiful South San Francisco, California. As most of you probably know, my name is Justin Bowman, and this is the St. Peter Shula and my addiction ministry. So this is the St. Peter Shula where I live and work, and this is my addiction ministry, which I do. It's my work. And it's also my personal life too. It's all in one. You know, I don't really look at it as work and private. I mean, you know what I mean? I live all in one. It's all one. It's all one. That's what works best for me. So anyway, this is you're going to be here for my first sip of coffee in the morning. I haven't taken a sip yet of any coffee. This is it. Ready? Drum roll. All right. I know you're waiting for it. Wait for it. Wait. I'm waiting for it. I'm having it right now. All right. Anyway, good morning to everyone. And I'm being very serious when I say I feel blessed to be here, to be praying. I was going to say with you all, with the YouTube, with the internet, whatever. I feel blessed to be up right now at 5:30 in the morning and ready to go, and to not be in bed depressed or you know what I mean. Just a ton of other conditions and situations that would make me a less happy person, But today is not one of those days, or today's not one of those mornings. This afternoon, I may, who knows? Anything could happen this afternoon. But right now, we're here together, and the Lord is at the forefront of our minds, and that's a good thing. That's a recipe for a very good day, generally. So. By the way, all right, so the Lord has not been having me do the last 2 days, have you noticed? Wake up sobriety check-ins. I have no idea why, I don't know. And that's fine with me. I mean, that's how I know, is because the Lord, you know what I mean? I'm just not inclined to do one this morning, and I know that's how the Lord doesn't want me to do it. But my ministry is about addiction, and so we talk about these kinds of things. This is my prayer log, and all prayer services get logged in here, whether they be, I did a rosary and a chaplet of divine mercy last night. I need these soon, might as well, right? Sometimes I wear these, sometimes I don't. It just depends upon how my eyes can focus and the lighting and stuff like that. I'm not at that age where I need them for all the time, which is good. 126. 5:30. That's right. Morning prayer. Put that away now. Okay, so before we do a check-in or whatever we're going to talk about, because I forgot to also do one of the prayers that I love to start the day with before, and we'll do that right now. Literally, I just come right out and do it. You know what I mean? Come right out and do it, as you can tell. So let's start with that, and then we'll begin with a check-in, and then we can get right to the office, okay? In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. O God, give me strength to live another day. Let me not turn coward before its difficulties or prove recreant to its duties. Let me not lose faith in other people. That's a tough one. Keep me sweet and sound of heart in spite of ingratitude, treachery, or meanness. Preserve me from minding little stings or giving them. That's a very important one. Very important one right there. I I guess it's directly connected to not losing faith in other people, though, in a way, right? All of it's connected. Help me to keep my heart clean and to live so honestly and fearlessly that no outward failure can dishearten me or take away the joy of integrity. I have a talent for that from the Lord, thank God. That's a blessing. You know what I mean? When you're taking stock of your blessings, that's something that luckily I get blessed with. Other things I bemoan, but that one seems to often be strong. You know? That's a blessing. I hope that when we're going through this, that you've taken stock of your blessings too. You know what I mean? Where you're good and where you're not so good. Last night I posted, and I did it actually before I posted. I did the CPR method of conscience examination that I read about in the Laudate app. You know, of taking stock of your conscience to prepare for confession, which is kind of like taking an inventory of the day. And I did that before I posted. I didn't believe it or not. I know you think people would just like, oh yeah, here, check this out, you know. But I did that before I posted it. Just took a few minutes. Open wide the eyes of my soul, that I may see good in all things. Grant me this day some new vision of thy truth. Inspire me with the spirit of joy and gladness. And make me the cup of strength to suffering souls. Blessed. In the name of the strong deliverer, our only Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. In nomine Patris et Filio et Spiritus Sancto. Amen. Now, I feel like I want to say something to, you know, again, for those of you that don't know, anyone that might just be tuning in for the first time, all right? I don't script things, you know what I mean? And I realize the benefit of doing that, you know what I mean? And some things do, but my method is to kind of do it, and the things that are, you know what I mean, that are really worth keeping will eventually become natural habit, and they'll just fall into place as a normal thing. You know what I mean? I just kind of let it, it's easier to sort of sometimes let things go that way, and the Spirit keeps directing me to do that. But that said, you know, I kind of like the idea of quickly, you know, for people tuning in to the first time and are not familiar with the series, give a brief, you know, kind of like the way, by the way, have you ever see the show Quantum Leap? Very old show. I'm giving my age away on that one. It was a show in the 80s, I think. Early 90s, maybe. Is it 90s? Maybe, yeah, maybe like 1990. Alexa, when was Quantum Leap on the air?
I don't know that one.
I asked her if she knew. I said, is Ina Garten Jewish yesterday? And she didn't go, here's something I found on the web. She goes, yes, Ina Garten is Jewish. She knows that, but she doesn't know when Quantum Leap is on the air. Unbelievable. Alexa, do you consider yourself a good Christian?
I'm not sure.
Okay, we're gonna have to find you another job because you know where you work. I mean, anyway though, Okay, no, being serious though for a moment, is that in Quantum Leap, the whole point of that was that in the beginning of the show, part of like the theme song, or not the theme, the beginning was also like telling you exactly what the show was about. You know what I mean? That how it's been a long time since I've seen it, but like since somehow, you know, how he began leaping from like person to person trying to get home and stuff. So that way, if you've never seen the show, by the time it began, within it was like 2 minutes or whatever, you had the whole idea of what it was about, even if you just walked up and never saw it. So that's pretty cool. And I was thinking about probably doing something like that. But anyway, so for those of you that don't know, I'm a meth addict. And I've been addicted to meth since I was 21 years old, and I am 41 right now. I'm about to be 42 next month. And I quit doing meth daily this most recent time 6 months ago today. 6 months ago. 36, 30 days. Today was 6 months and 29 days yesterday. Or 5 months and 29 days yesterday. 6 months today. Thank you. And not just giving myself a run of laws, giving myself and other addicts that have 6 months or are on birthdays today. That. Now, does that mean, by the way, that I got 6 months without touching any meth at all? No, it doesn't. Because meth addicts like me, we have a hard time doing that. The last time I touched any meth, unfortunately, was 33 days ago, Christmas Eve, 34 days ago, whatever. Christmas Eve of all days. And anyway, though, and then before that, it was like two weeks before that. I relapsed like 2-3 weeks at the most. I think 2 weeks before it. So here's the thing, though. I don't say I've got 33 days sober because that's not quite true, is it? It doesn't really make much sense because let me explain something to you. Okay? The last 6 months, the last 183 days, I've been sober for 181 of them. And I've only been not sober for 2 of 183 days. So I have 181 days, the last 183 days, 181 of them sober. So, I last relapsed on Christmas Eve 34 days ago, whatever. So, but to say 34 days, I've got 34 days sober really doesn't make much sense, does it? No. Again, I'm putting that out there. Because I get pissed at that kind, because the demoralization now that people go through with that whole thing, you know what I mean? As if sobriety were some kind of contest that we're counting days since the last time we did it. And that ignores 181 days of sobriety that I've had. That's the victory. Thanks be to God who gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, now that's so that's what we're looking at here today. And anyway, so I'm a pretty hardcore addict, though. I bet, in the past, in all those years, I haven't even had, I'm pretty sure not a year sober in the past, since 2001. I have not had a complete year sober. Meaning free entirely of methamphetamine. Now, I've had periods of relative sobriety, meaning that kind of like I did now, like I have for the past 6 months. I've had that. But in the past, I always drank a lot. I mean, I drank pretty much every day. Last time I was sober, like of this stretch, I drank like every day. But this time, I have not drank every day. In fact, I have a log of how much alcohol I have consumed since the beginning of that period of sobriety, and it is pretty infrequent. Pretty infrequent, which is also another thing to thank the Lord for. I'm not doing this. If you don't know any better, look at, he's clapping for himself. No, I'm not clapping for myself. I'm clapping for all of us that are trying to stay sober and are eking out some sobriety time. And you know what I mean? That are making progress, not perfection. That's what I'm clapping for. Us. And I'm also clapping for the Lord, really, as an act of gratitude. So don't misunderstand me. And I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna put this out there right now. I don't have anybody messaging me on a daily basis or even regularly saying, how you doing with sobriety? I have no family doing that. I have no friends doing that right now at all. Because most of the people I know, are using, and I don't talk to anymore because of that. So I don't have anybody saying, how you doing? Or great job. So guess who has to do that? This guy. And I do it. And I do it without apology. And you should too. You know what I mean? A lot of times in our sober journey, we don't have people. Like people should, in an ideal environment, you should have people checking in on you and seeing how you're doing and stuff like that and saying, hey, that's a good job. Instead, I have people making stupid comments like, well, that's too bad. You have to start over. And I'm like, no, you continue. I'm the one, you know what I mean? Half the time, So, but the point being is that, and I have the Lord, of course, who encourages me, really. You know what I mean? But let's be real. You know what I mean? That does count, absolutely. But there is a difference between, let's say our interactions with God and our interactions with Joe Schmo next door. You know what I mean? Who's a human. I'm not saying it's less valuable. In fact, it's more. I definitely, you know what I mean? The Lord sustains me like in incredible ways that that's the most important sustenance of all. But, as the Lord himself knows, because, he created it to be, there is, you know what I mean? There is such a thing as, we need humans too. We have human interactions that are uniquely human, whether they be, sexual or sexual needs, or needs for even just physical intimacy that are non-sexual, that also, you know what I mean, that are also platonic in nature as well, like giving people hugs or or contact. This COVID pandemic has helped us to kind of also recognize, how we all kind of react to an absence of the normal social closeness that we've had during social distancing. So, I am here trying to live sober, and I'm doing a pretty good job of it so far, thanks be to God. Thanks be to God. Not to myself, but thanks be to God. And I hope that He continues to keep me in this way, because I'm a lot happier of a person than I was before. Do I get lonely from time to time? I've mentioned the past couple days. I do. But, such was my life that by the time I left the drug scene, there was really nothing socially I was walking away from anymore. I had made sure pretty much before I had walked away that everything was thoroughly exhausted as far as I don't feel like I have any friends, you know what I mean? There's no real, nobody treated me well in that scene at all. Nobody treated me well, and you know what I mean? It's hard to look back on that and go, I have people that I love, don't get me wrong, but, when I look back to the way they treated me then, I'm like, yeah, no, because when I do play the tape back, this is something they say in AA, when you're thinking about relapsing, play the tape back, even though, it's of limited value. I've had two kinds of play the tape back. Christmas Eve, playing the tape back does no good when it happened, okay? That's when you're on a mission and it's like, you don't even have control over it. You're going to do it whether you like it or not. And then there's the more where you're kind of, I've come to learn this, is that where you're tempted, but you're really not going to do it. It may feel like you're going to do it, but you're really not going to. You know what I mean? It's a very big difference. It's it's I don't know. It's unsettling sometimes, honestly. But anyway, I digress. But that kind of, when you're not pretty much when it's like a near miss, basically, or like, a safe near miss, you kind of play the tape back, and you do have time to do that, and you go, yeah, I'm not, But let's face it, you don't do drugs for friendships, honey. Okay, like really, you don't do drugs. That's not the reason you go do drugs. Really, when you're a hardcore addict, you go do drugs because you want the drugs. Okay, like I mean, seriously, the people are incidental, and this is even from my perspective, which is, let's be real. I mean, that's what it is. Now I love the people too. You know what I mean? But the reason I would put myself in a situation where there is zero social enrichment at all, is obviously not for the people, because there's nothing to get there. It's for the drugs. But, on the social front, when I do get lonely and I do think of the interaction I had when I was on drugs, and I do have time to play that tape back, I'm like, well, yeah, there's nothing, there's nothing I can miss in terms of when I think of the way I was treated. Now, we do sometimes get in that mode where we're like, you know what? I just need some kind of interaction. Even that was better than nothing. Well, I've had that happen before. But, thank God the Lord has not pushed me to that point. To be that socially desperate. Thank God. It's happened, though. It's happened. Believe you me. It's happened enough. You know what I mean? And you're going like, wow. Later, after you're going like, wow, I went and put myself in a situation with, you know what I mean? A situation I knew I was not going to like, just to be around, because when you're doing drugs too, I mean, it's, for example, you're limited to like, if you want to spend a lot of time doing drugs, you obviously have to spend, and you want to spend time around people, then that of necessity means that you're putting yourself generally, again, not assuming that you're not the type that like, you're going to quickly do the drug and then go and hang out with people that are not doing dope to do non-dope stuff. I'm talking about if you want to be doing drugs a lot, meaning like the consumption is going to be part of, you know what I mean? Part of, you don't want to be having to go to the bathroom and do, you want to be like socially doing drugs. Then you're going to have to be around people that do drugs then. Because that's who does that. And people that don't do that, you can't do that. You can't be, you know what I mean? I can bring my coffee to a prayer meeting and be like drinking coffee while we're praying, but I cannot bring, okay, a plate of cocaine and be doing lines while I'm, you know what I mean? It just doesn't work that way. But I'll be honest with you, if anybody would do that, it probably would be me. It probably would be me. I swear to God. I mean, if there would have been a group of people, and I'm not kidding, like that would have been interested in praying the office, a group of tweakers while we did meth and yeah, I would have led that group. I would have been but like no one wants to do that but me. But I would have done that. I'm a weird duck in that way. I realize that, especially if that sounds sacrilegious to any of you, it's because you're not comfortable enough with the Lord, you're not comfortable enough with prayer. And you need to back up and look at it and take some common sense here. When we are doing things like that are, well, in some way they are hurting ourselves. Addiction is definitely not self-care. It's something that detracts from self-care, right? So during those moments especially, all the more do we need to be praying. All the more do we need to be praying. And if you don't believe me that I do that when I'm high or drunk, if you don't believe that, I've told you that many times, but you haven't seen me, I have not, and you're not going to see me, honestly, on camera doing meth or something because I could get it's not, just not. But if I could do it with impunity, I would, because I think it would help people. But I can't do it with impunity, so I'm not going to do that. It ain't going to happen. You know what I mean? I could get in a lot of trouble for that. So, but you have seen me praying the rosary, drinking, and praying Psalms, drinking on my YouTube channel. That you've seen, and because I can do that with impunity. That you've seen. So you can accept it as so, that I also do it with other substances. And if I could encourage you, if you can't stop using whatever drugs you're on or drink or whatever you do, if I could encourage you to at least pray when you do it, some of the time to begin a good habit, I would really love you to do that. Because, you know, if you can bring yourself to do it, number one, that's pretty cool because you're an unusual guy or girl like me. Because not many people are interested, you know what I mean? Not many people, they get Taiwan on or whatever, and the last thing they want to, but religious people know what it's like. I tell you right now, I've Taiwan on with a lot of religious people at you know, places that are, you know, religious institutions and stuff like that. And I have to say, it's a group of people that I get totally. Because, you know what I mean? We're still us, we're still like, and it's wonderful. You know what I mean? It is one of the most wonderful places to enjoy, you know, to enjoy those things. I'm going to call this a wake up sobriety check. This is going to be the wake up sobriety check-in right now because we're already almost 30 minutes in. And I don't want to add this to an office video because it's too long. So, yeah. But anyway, I want to say, like, I still pray for my friends that are using, but you know, some days I can't really. Not friends, as I've said many times. So I'll say my brothers and sisters, you know. But like these guys, I do care for them. I really do. But as I said the other day, you know, I realize you can't get blood from a rock, and they are pretty much gone. You know what I mean? They have checked out. They're out to lunch forever, and they ain't coming back. You know what I mean? I can see when people have, you know what I mean? I can see when there's redemption and when there's not. That is one thing I'm pretty good at. And I can tell you right now, these people, unfortunately, are finished. And that bothers me. But it is what it is, you know? I'll tell you what also bothers me. There, mucus in my throat too bothers me, but it's having my attention drawn to it. You know, I had a conversation with the Lord last night. I was like, you know what? This is getting blood. Why are these people even on my mind? Honestly, I don't even want them. Part of me doesn't even want them on my mind. I'd rather be going in the new direction that I'm going now and looking at all the, you know what I mean, the exciting new people in a world of sobriety that I'm going to meet there that are going to be complementary to the lifestyle I want to live and reflect that and help enhance it by their presence. Doesn't that make much more sense, Lord? You know? So part of me is kind of resentful. But I'm pissed off that Eric Mosnes is destroying his life. You know what I mean? Part of me is like, fuck Eric Mosnes. Let him go do what he wants to go do. I want to focus on this other shit. But he won't let me. Not Eric. Eric doesn't give a fuck about anything. The Lord won't let me completely just drop my attention on there. And that irritates me sometimes. It's also it's also a point of pride and embarrassment a little bit about that. You know what I mean? I don't want to, you know, who the hell wants to be concerned with people that are not concerned with them, right? I mean, I accept my lot. I mean, you know, I know it's for my betterment in some way because the Lord has, because that's, you know what I mean? I can tell when it's work. I mean, like, look, come on. I understand that. You know what I mean? I understand that, especially this guy is supposed to care about people. I realize that. You know what I mean? I'm supposed to care about people. I get that, and I do. But I'm also, you know what I mean? We also, it's frustrating. Life is a frustrating game sometimes. And then there's that part of me that craves intimacy. You know, most of the time, it's not in my mind. Most of the time, that is not in my mind. But then the Lord hits me with it. It hits me with it hard. Hits me with it hard. And I'm not talking about just, well, I was going to say horniness or lust. I'm not just talking about that. I'm talking about intimate closeness with another human being. I'm not talking about sex. Sex is included in that, of course, but you know what I mean? I'm talking about more than that. I'm talking about closeness, emotionally and physically. And part of my soul longs for that. And I would say most of the time, you know what I mean? I'm okay without it, but the Lord doesn't let me be okay without it. It's kind of crazy. It really is. It really is. And I'm like, why are you bothering me about that? Like I told you right now, I tell you, and it's just talking to the Lord sometimes is like talking to a wall. I would say, for the first time in my life, in the past 3 months, I have been mad enough at the Lord to want to punch him if he were a person. While at that same moment, knowing that I love him and I trust him and I would never, you know what I mean, that he's what I want, what his will is what I want. While knowing that, at the very precise moment, I want to punch him in the face. You know what I mean? Never like you know what I mean? Never for 1 second going, you know what? I'm not screw the religious life. I'm tearing this collar out, and I never like that. Never. Always knowing that yes, I will continue to follow you. Yes, I don't understand you, but you know, I'm so you know what I mean? Because from my human perspective, and there, you know, you get mad. You get mad sometimes. You get mad, and it's funny because it was almost right on the heels of me saying, I mean, roughly, more or less, I mean, but around that time, I also mentioned how I had never gotten that mad at the Lord before, ever. You know what I mean? I had said that, and then pretty much right around that time, ta-da! Because I also always pray for an increase in faith. I also pray for an increase in faith all the time. And that is going to, of necessity, involve probably wanting to punch the Lord in the face at times. Because what, you know what I mean? Tests of faith. Things that make it difficult. Increase your faith. And that has happened, you know, but I'm like, but here, you know what I mean? But here I am again. I'm not here because I have to be. You know, the Lord, I mean, in some sense, the Lord does make me do everything I do, absolutely. But like, you know, in the case of prayer, it's always with joy, with love. I love to get up. You know what I mean? I love to get up in the morning and pray. You know, and I especially love being able to do my internet, you know, YouTube ministry. I think I'm excited about that pretty much every day. I love it. You know, whether it be through Facebook or YouTube, you know, it's my vocation. You know, and so the Lord, everything I do is about the Lord, and that's true. But sometimes I want to, you know, just like anything that's anyone that's up your ass that much, you want to punch them in the face sometimes, apparently. You know, so whether it be your spouse or the Lord or whatever, or if you're a nun and the Lord is your spouse, or like however that works, you know, but But I wouldn't trade. I mean, I definitely wouldn't trade it for the world. I mean, not even. Yeah, no, thank you. That's it. This is it for me. This is it for me. But there is a lacking physical intimacy in my life that aches sometimes in my heart. And I don't know what the Lord's going to do about that. I have no idea. I suspect, you know what it looks like right now? Because, the suffering has been my lot throughout my life. The Lord is good to me, but and there are indications that, probably that's probably going to be something that is going to be my cross to bear for the rest of my life. I don't know. You got to leave it open, but sometimes you get a sense, yeah. And I'm good with that. Except the Lord sometimes deliberately makes a point of making me feel the ache of it, and I'm like, why you pull it? And I'll be trying to do stuff to sort of focus my attention elsewhere. The Lord's like, no, hurt over this, and I'm like, it's not even no. I want to work on my shit. I have things to do, and those things give me happiness. Why would you want me to focus on? You know what I mean? Why would you want to make me focus on something that is going to lessen my gratitude, Lord? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Right? And of course you get no answer for that, But the Lord, it's funny because in some sense you kind of know why the Lord, because that's what the Lord does, you know what I mean? But that's, sometimes when you feel that kind of, that feeling that you just want it to stop, right? So, our natural reaction is to throw out a question like that. Like, answer me. Like, you know what I mean? As an interruption, at least to something, some kind of response to those feelings that are so intense to deal with. But, the more intimate you get with the Lord, you know what I mean? The more comfortable. If the only kind of prayer you'll never have this kind of intense kind of reaction with the Lord where you're like, "Fuck you, Lord," you know what I mean? If you're, you know what I mean? If you only pray if you go to church maybe twice a year, and when you do, you're and it's you say a couple prayers and that's it, and God, your honor, sir. If you're like that all the time, you never get comfortable enough with the Lord to be pissed off with the Lord and to kind of interact with the Lord like he's your father, you know what I mean? Like you would that, if you're that uncomfortable getting kind of down and dirty with the Lord, you need to, you're not praying enough. You're not familiar. You know what I mean? It's almost like, for example, like a friend, right? Like someone you don't know that well, an acquaintance you see, out and about when you're running errands, like, 3 times a month on the street for like 2 minutes, you're probably not going to tell them, you're probably going to, if you're in a bad mood, you're most likely to hide it from them, or at least to put on a happy face or whatever, and you're probably not going to be rude to them when you're mad, but your friend, like, who's Ed Norton, if you guys don't know the Honeymooners, if you're that young, the Honeymooners was a show with Jackie Gleason and Art Carney, and they were best friends, and in the show, Ed Norton was in Art Carney's apartment every day for every episode. He it was the second home. He lived upstairs from him, so he was down there all the time. When you're friends with somebody like that, and he threw Ed Norton out all the time. It was like part of the show. He's like, get out. When you're familiar with someone, you know what I mean? Your best friend who's basically like a second you almost sometimes, they're going to see, you know what I mean? You're not going to hesitate when you're in a bad mood. That's who you're going to take it out on. They're going to see it. You're going to be rude with them. You're going to tell them to F off. That kind of thing. And the closer you are with God, the more intimate you are with God, the more, yeah, of course, I mean, it doesn't mean that you lose respect, but what it is that, you can be comfortable with God in a way that, like, you know what I mean? You don't ever want to try. First of all, you can't hide anything from God anyway. So it's ridiculous to try, but you don't, You can be you with God. And that means that God's going to see, you know what I mean? That you're going to be in all kinds of states. And that, you know what I mean? So, and that's how you are. You know what I mean? If you're always stiff and rigid and thee, thou, you know, you're not ever going to, that relationship is only going to, is pretty skin deep. That's what I'm trying to say. So, you know, not much is going to be accomplished with that because you're not familiar, you don't have the familiarity you need in order to be able to develop spiritual fitness. So, anyway. So anyway, we're going to call this Wake Up Sobriety Check-In, and then we're going to go start in with the office. That's what I had to get off my chest this morning. Thank you for listening, and do likewise. By the way, this is kind of I talk about this stuff, you know, because I need to stay sober, because I need to kind of get somewhere. That's the whole point. To get somewhere in my recovery, to get somewhere in my pastoring, to get somewhere in my just discipleship, to get somewhere as a human. I love you all. And immediately following this Wake Up Sobriety Check-In is the Office of Morning Prayer. And we're going to start right in on that. So I'll see you back here in moments. Love you all. Bye.